Welcome back to the CS Podcast presented by the NFL Draft Bible and NUCSports.com. I'm your host, Chris Shanafel, and I'm now joined by sports agent Justin VanFulpen. Justin, I appreciate you taking some time today. How's everything going?
It's going great, Chris. How's it going with you?
Everything's great. Certainly cannot complain. Now, about a month ago, I had the pleasure of speaking with one of your clients just days after he was drafted last month, and that was quarterback Trevor Siemian. He was taken in the 7th round by the Denver Broncos by way of Northwestern. A lot of people were pretty surprised that Siemian was drafted over quarterbacks such as Shane Carden, Cody Fajardo, among others. It seemed as if as we got closer and closer to the draft, Siemian's stock just kept rising. I remember seeing tweets about him going on workouts with the Denver Broncos, obviously the Cleveland Browns, among other teams. Not only is Trevor Siemian not a household name, but late last season he tore his ACL. As his agent, how were you able to help Trevor hear his name called in the 2015 NFL Draft? I mean, I got to think there's a lot of work behind the scenes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, number one, Trevor's definitely an NFL pocket passer, and obviously that's what Denver was looking for. With kind of his process, tearing his ACL after he had beat, Notre Dame in that Purdue game, obviously wasn't invited to any All-Star games, wasn't invited to the NFL Combine, couldn't participate in Northwestern's, pro day. So we had to do a lot of work behind the scenes. Number one, on the medical aspect of it, getting as far as his doctors to help kind of explain his process and kind of get all the medical reports out to all 32 NFL teams. Kind of that was the first, kind of step in there to say, okay, hey, this guy is going to be able to, be kind of cleared 100% by, the middle of June. So, hey, if you draft him or sign him as an undrafted guy, he's going to be able to do that. And then the next step, is really, critical on a standpoint of his film. Obviously, no All-Star games, no combines, no Northwestern Pro Day, but what we were able to do is then push his film out to all 32 NFL teams and then go from the area scouts to the director of college scouting to the GMs to the quarterback coaches, the offensive coordinators, and say, hey, this is how this guy would fit into your system. And then kind of be able to set up a kind of just a throwing day for him there in Evanston at Northwestern. And say, hey, this guy's not going to be able to do any rollouts. He can't, do any type of movement things there. We're going to script, 60 play or 60 throws from 3 to 5 to 7-step drafts, showing him kind of under the center and be able to do that. And, as far as get out to Kyle Prater and Tony Jones, the receivers he had worked with there at, Northwestern. So be able to kind of show him his ability to do that. And then really kind of just working those phones and just kind of pushing, his name out there. And, then the rest was, hey, again, the teams and the scouts looking at his film. And again, that was our job to be able to push that, film out as much as possible and say, hey, this is why you should be able to draft this guy. And then as we kind of got into that and people were able to look at him, when he was able to throw, I mean, Denver showed the most interest in him at the beginning, then Cleveland, then Chicago, then Tennessee. And then, kind of as we kind of, got there, 2 weeks before the draft, his name was kind of really, kind of that popular and hot, quarterback there, and nobody, nobody was expecting him to do that, for the drafting, whether it was the draft, so-called draft experts to fans or anything like that were surprised when there was only 7 quarterbacks drafted and he was the 7th quarterback drafted. So, and he's doing great there in Denver. Everything is just positive there. They're just kind of taking slow, along there, doing a lot of rehab. We'll actually stay pretty much all summer there in Denver to do rehab, even though most of the players will leave there in July. He'll be doing kind of rehab to get ready for training camp when they open that up in late July, early August.
Now, I know as his agent, it's your job to kind of help his name pick up weight. But were you surprised at all by how much interest he was gaining as we got closer and closer to the draft?
No, really, because I knew he was a guy who was a pro-style quarterback who can make all the throws there. we just had to be able to help him and get his name out there. And, as far as one thing that was able to do things was, with the media, kind of helping get his name out there with the media, and then kind of saying, okay, hey, this is kind of how the back end would work, as far as when he was able to show his ability there. And, then Northwestern did a great job helping us, taking his film from that kind of throwing day that he had there and, getting it distributed out to their other 32 teams, so then they were able to look at it there. And one thing I think when you're looking at a prospect there, you need a couple teams to be able to be interested. And so when you have a Denver and you have a Cleveland and you have a Detroit and Green Bay and Minnesota all kind of having that interest, then that's where you look at, okay, a guy can get drafted because you have multiple teams that are interested. And that's what the draft is. It's about, acquiring talent. But, hey, if you've got multiple teams, then that team's got to come up there and get them. And then, again, that's what Denver, had to go ahead and draft him in the 7th round because there was a ton of teams that were still interested in signing him if he goes undrafted. And they didn't, again, then you're getting into a bidding war as far as an undrafted, rookie quarterback. And, again, Denver was really the spot we wanted to go, obviously, Peyton being there, and Kubiak and John Elway, and that's a great place for a quarterback and a young guy to kind of learn and develop there. So, answer your question, I wasn't surprised. I was definitely elated when he got drafted because he worked so hard and puts, all that effort in there. So it was great for him and his family. And again, those are the joys as far as representing guys, you see them, kind of fulfill their dream, getting drafted in the NFL and now being able to go there to Denver and, as far as, and push to make, the 53-man roster. So, again, it's a good story. And, Trevor's a great guy and his family's, really supportive as well.
Absolutely. And like you said, there's no better situation than being able to learn from Peyton Manning and, of course, head coach Gary Kubiak. So it's certainly a great situation there for Trevor Siemian in Denver. Now, I know minicamp is currently going on with the Broncos. And you mentioned that next month Trevor's actually going to be staying there in Denver, rehabbing his ACL. How is everything going with Trevor as he is now a Denver Bronco? How are all the practices going out there? And how limited is he as he is still rehabbing that ACL?
Well, he's limited, obviously, in kind of those first mini camps before to be able to do some more one-on-one stuff. And they have a lot of it is rehab there and still be able to do 3 to 5 and 7-step drops. Now, as we've gotten into his rehab process, he's done, a lot of work with the trainers out there in Denver. They've been able to let him do a little bit more, there in those mini camps, 1-on-1, 7-on-7 type stuff. Haven't done any as far as team, things there, and that'll come during, obviously during training camp, and that's the goal is to get him 100% by, in the end of next month. And then, talking with all the player personnel people there in Denver, they're real excited about Trevor and and that's why they want to take some of that caution, approach, there. And again, the knee's got to be 100% there before he can be able to do anything. And I would say it's getting, there, and slowly but surely, I think by training camp, he'll be 100% and be able to compete there, with the quarterbacks to be able to be, hopefully the number 3, guy there on their roster.
Sports agent Justin VanFulpen joining the CS podcast presented by NFL Draft Bible and NUCSports.com. And Justin, switching gears, so far there are 3 players that are entering this year's NFL supplemental draft, and you're actually representing all 3 of them. You got defensive tackle Dalvin Stuckey out of West Georgia, wide receiver and return specialist Adrian Wilkins of North Carolina Central, and outside linebacker Darius Caldwell out of West Georgia. He's actually an Illinois transfer. How do these guys decide that they want to enter the supplemental draft, and what kind of input do you have in it?
Well, first of all, I work with another sports agent out in North Carolina, Josh Granish, and he's done a ton of work, with these 3 guys. I've had some guys in the supplemental draft before, as far as representing guys, so we were able to team up on all 3 of these, these players. They've all had issues as far as on an academic, standpoint. So as far as going through the process of, getting declared eligible for the supplemental draft through the NFL, process there. So I think the biggest thing is trying to help them through that, and then be able to set up, some workouts, for these 3 athletes. there. One at a pro day at West Georgia for Stuckey and Darius Caldwell, and then there at North Carolina Central for Adrian. So I'll be able to set that up and then start to work with all the area scouts and going through that same process that we talked about with Trevor, but at a more rapid pace there. Set that up, get that film out there, and try to be able to kind of allow these scouts to kind of see, hey, where are we going to be able to do things? Are these guys we're going to put a draft claim in on? Are we going to look at more of a priority free agent, standpoint? And, their opportunity window, okay, so, when the supplemental draft is, pretty much the NFL has said that's going to be July 9th, most likely, and then, hey, all these teams would then be done with OTAs, all these players would be off, and so those guys would just basically come in kind of cold into training camp and try to make, that 53-man roster. So, what we've been doing is kind of preparing these guys, okay, number one, on a standpoint of, hey, what to expect, get in the best shape of your life. And that's why I tell all my guys, hey, that's the biggest thing, because you want to be able to go 100% every play, especially when you be a late round guy, a priority free agent, whatever that would be. You got to make, hay in practice. You got to make some plays in practice and preseason and kind of, show up there on film and flash on film, there, because at the end of the day, the eye in the sky doesn't lie. And everybody will tell you that as far as film. And that's the same point with these guys, as far as when they do get an opportunity, they got to make the most of it.
Oh, okay. So just like the NFL draft, the supplemental draft process is pretty similar as far as, they still got their pro days and work. They work out for teams, go on visits, but it's all shoved together. You don't got the, 5-6 month window as you do for the NFL draft for the supplemental draft, correct?
Correct. I mean, basically, once they'd be able to schedule a pro day, then once they get towards cleared by the NFL that they would be in that special supplemental draft based on, hey, having some issues academically there, and they wouldn't be able to transfer to any other schools. Then basically you set up a pro day, they work out for NFL scouts. The scouts are then, able to say, okay, hey, this is where we grade them, and then they all the 32 teams want to get that film and what film to be able to watch, there. And that's the nice thing about the technology we have now. Most of the film all goes to the NFL Dub Center, so then they're able to kind of pick it, get that film from the Dub Center and be able to watch that, there, wherever they might be in those 32 cities. And then basically, it's not necessarily like the NFL draft, because if you basically it's all done through email. You put in hey, this is where we would, as far as use a draft pick on this particular player. And then it's a lottery system. And then, hey, so if you put a 6-round claim in on a 6-round draft pick claim on it, then if that lottery system comes up and you're the team with the highest pick in that 6th round, then you would then forfeit that 6th round in the 2016 draft. So, and it's all, like I said, it's not like the NFL where it's on TV or anything like that. It's all done as far as email and, hey, they notify the guy if they're drafted. If not, and then they become, basically straight free agents. And then are able to sign with any team. They're just like if they were an undrafted free agent there with the NFL draft.
All right, and you said that it sounds as if the supplemental draft may be July 9th, so we're less than a month away. Where exactly are your clients at in this supplemental draft process?
Well, I mean, right now they're looking for is getting in the process of getting all the paperwork there to the NFL, as far as then basically all training and working out and getting ready for a pro day. That would be scheduled later in the month of July before the supplemental draft. Instead of just getting, ready like they would if they were in the regular draft process, training for all the tests that would have to be done, the, 40 vertical, 20-yard shuttle, L-cone drill, and then the positional specific drills, whether you're receiver or defensive lineman, be able to get ready for those to, hey, when you do get that opportunity in front of the 32 NFL scouts, there, hey, you can show your ability. And we've got a lot of interest, as far as, between myself and Josh, kind of, as far as from teams contacting us both, on these guys and saying, hey, so there's been a lot of interest. Obviously, there's a lot of work for, these scouts to be able to go into, since they're not in the same type of process, and it's a very short, thing. So they want to be able to interview these guys, interview the coaches, kind of see what type of, players they are and people they are. Again, obviously we know that's a big thing with the NFL is having, high character, players, both on and off the field. And that's become a bigger, issue here in the last, couple of years with the different things that's gone on as far as off the field issues with players.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Justin, I got to say, it's definitely great to hear that, there's interest there in these clients that are entering the supplemental draft. Definitely wishing them nothing but the best, as it sounds like the supplemental draft will be July 9th. Once again, good luck, and good luck to your clients, of course. I'm very happy to hear things are going well with Trevor Siemian out in Denver as well. Do you have anything else for us before I let you go?
No, I mean, basically, I appreciate your time, and obviously, I've been on both sides of the things, from being the director of player personnel for the Texas First Nation game, working with Rick there with the NFL Draft Bible on the media side. So it's good to kind of see the whole gamut, and then be back in as far as representing guys, and but definitely appreciate all the work that you guys do there at the NFL Draft Bible, and appreciate your time and having me on today.
Well, I certainly appreciate you, Justin. Thanks again, and hopefully we can keep in touch and do this again down the line, all right?
For sure. Have a good one.